Thank you all for coming to CPW tonight during our weekly presentation called Meet the Artist. My name is Sarah Danziger, and I'm the Education Program Coordinator here. Actually, Education Program Manager, sorry. And I'm just really thrilled to see some new faces in the crowd. So a couple announcements. You probably see on the slideshow that we will also be joined this Sunday for a conversation between Raheem Fortune, who's in the middle exhibition space in here, as well as Nicole Fleetwood, who's the curator of Kinship and Community, the exhibition that you're currently sitting in. So that'll be from 3 to 5 p.m. and will be a very special opportunity to hear from the two of them. Yeah. I'll stop there. We're really, really thrilled to be joined by Hoora tonight. And I'll tell you a little bit about her background if you're not already familiar. Hoora Mirabzadeh is an Iranian multimedia artist and storyteller whose work includes photography, video, poetry, performance, and installation, exploring themes of survival, vulnerability, and the quiet, difficult effort of holding herself together when everything feels like it's falling apart. Her deeply autobiographical practice reflects her lived experiences as a migrant woman, spouse, and mother, navigating displacement, emotional distance, and the instability of language and identity. Through the steady act of making, word by word, image by image, she places herself at the center of each project, confronting what was once hidden and giving form to emotions not yet named. Hoora has exhibited her recent projects at the University Art Museum in Albany, and her work has been recognized for its poetic engagement with personal histories, creating dialogue between private memory and collective experience, and exploring how migration produces both presence and absence simultaneously. So let's give Hoora a warm welcome, please. Thank you. There we go. Is this the first slide? Yes. This one. Thank you.
I'm standing alone at the edge of an open field, looking up at the sky with a begging in my eyes. The wind circles around me, pulling at my dress, lifting my hair. My body becomes weightless, floating between earth and sky, free from gravity, free from borders. Then the wind carries me with itself toward an endless spring. Once upon a time, there was a girl who dreamed of flying, not just ordinary flying, but flying freely without wings. One night, she woke up, her body covered in sweat, as if she had been running for hours. She had seen a strange dream, a dream of flying without wings. In the dream, she stood alone at the edge of an open field, looking up at the sky with a begging in her eyes. The wind circles around her. What she said? How can I fly with no wings? A voice inside her whispered, open your arms. You don't need wings. You just need to trust the fall and jump. But she was afraid. She didn't tell anyone about her dream. She didn't want to be laughed at. So she dug a small hole in the corner of her heart and buried it there, keeping it safe from the world. Time passed. She grew and did the holes in her heart, more and more, one after another. each holding a dream she was too afraid to share. One day, as she was digging yet another hole to bury another dream so no one would laugh at her, her fingers found something familiar. She brushed away the dust and saw the dream of flying without wings. She smirked and said, "What a foolish dream." She looked around. Her heart was filled with mounds of earth and buried dreams. A strange feeling came over her, something she has never felt it before. Weren't my dreams supposed to stay safe in their hidden corners? Why did I laugh at my own dream? A great turmoil rose in the corner of her heart. The buried dreams trembled in fear, knowing what would soon come for them. So they pushed away the soil, rose from the earth, and stood tall. The girl woke up. Her entire body was covered in sweat, but she shivered. She looked at her hands. They were covered in dirt. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her hair had turned white. She tried to stand, but her legs could not hold her. Her vision blurred. Darkness slowly entered. The girl was dying. She screamed, "I don't want to die. I haven't flown yet. I haven't flown yet. Flying without wings." And this time, I woke up for real. Hello, everyone, to the lovely guest here tonight, and to all my friends and family watching me from afar, especially from Iran, where it is around 3 a.m. right now. I love you. And a special hi to my dearest one, my husband Reza, whom I haven't seen him for many months. دوست دارم عزیزم. Thank you for listening to my story. 3 years ago, I decided to follow a dream that was buried deep in my heart for years, a dream that challenged my life, took me from Iran to the US, made me face the hardest experiences I had in my life, and helped me find something new within myself. The reason I am here tonight is to share the story about this journey with you, a story about resilience found in distance, separation, and loneliness. My name is Hoora. I am an Iranian woman, spouse, mother, and artist. Maybe it is better to say a storyteller. In August 2023, on a student visa, I came to the US. But this story, this journey, didn't good well. This journey changed everything in my life. It changed my identity, transformed my psychological and physical self. It altered my language, and even it reshaped the way I create art. So tonight I want to talk about how did I make my art during this time. When I lived in Iran, no, it is better to say my artistic practice divided into two parts, before migration and after that. When I lived in Iran, my work was focused primarily on photography. But after migration, because of influenced by my lived and personal experiences, I tried to find and use another and different forms to show my express and my concerns, and the best way chose the best way to my honest voice. In 2023, 2 months after I received my university admission, my daughter and I had our visa interview appointment. My husband is filmmaker, so in that time he was working on his film and he couldn't travel with us. So our plan was that after finishing his film, he would join us. I should explain something about visa process because it is a part of my life story. So Iranian people, we don't have any US embassy in our country, so Iranian people has to go to a third country for visa interview, anything about US embassy. So when you have to go to a third country, it means too much time, too much money, and too much stress. We traveled to another country, and fortunately, our visas were approved on that spot. But my daughter's visa weren't issued. No one could explain what had happened to us. She was only 6 years old on that time, and so automatically her visa has to be issued, but it didn't, and no one answered us. So my classes were about to start, and if I arrived late, I could face a bigger problem, and it was at the airport. Because entering the US is decided by the immigration officer at the border, and they can deny entry for any reason. This made my situation even more stressful. We know my daughter's visa would eventually be issued because we had an approval letter, but we had no idea when it would happen. In the end, one day my husband and I decided that waiting would not help, and I had to start my journey alone. The moment my journey truly began was right here. Behind this counter is the last moment that I was in Iran. That was the moment I left everything behind: my home, my family, my roots, and stepped into a path where I knew nothing about what was ahead. I said goodbye to everything I had and left Iran. From this spot, I took some photos, everything that I had experienced, and sent it to my family, especially my husband. And some of them were snapshots, completely snapshots, and some of them I was full awareness of that moment. The weight of the goodbye, the loneliness, the pressure, it was all on me. My child, my husband, everything I had left behind, all the unknown waiting ahead. It was a storm of feelings, good and bad, mixed. I didn't want to see anything. I just kept my eyes closed until a flight attendant gently woke me up to offer food. I opened my eyes and saw the monitor showing the flight path. For everyone else, it is just a simple screen of the monitor in the airplane, but for me, it wasn't simple at all. That was the moment the plane left its last connection to land, the very lands that linked my country to others. After that, the entire route to America was only water. In that moment, something shifted inside me, just like when a newborn's umbilical cord is cut, the baby cries because it is being separated from the safe, familiar world it has always known and brought into a world it knows nothing about. Until that moment, I still felt connected through the land to my roots. But as soon as we crossed over the water, I felt completely detached, as if everything I belonged to had disappeared all at once. From that moment, I knew I had to continue this journey alone. I pulled the blanket over my head and cried for everything that was happened to me. This is the first picture I took after I arrived at the airport of United States, standing behind the counter waiting to the officer to call me. It was a strange moment. I had arrived at my destination, but it didn't feel like an arrival. No one was waiting for me. No one brought flowers. No one said welcome. No one said, well done for coming all this way. I was completely alone. But inside that loneliness, there was also something else, a quiet strength, a kind of courage. Oh, these moments. I didn't know the meaning of time difference till I came here. Let me tell you what the real time difference truly means. It is not just numbers, geography, or the Earth's rotation around the sun. Time difference means that for long hours of your day, your connection to your past is completely cut. The hours when you need someone to talk to, when your heart aches, when you feel alone, when you are sick, when you cry. Everyone you love living in a land far away is asleep, is unavailable. It felt strange to exist in between, to wake up when they were falling asleep, to speak when they were silent, to live in a present when my past has already moved on without me, and you are the loneliest person in the world. And these moments repeat every day, every night, every day, every night, every day, every night. And it was the first bitter reality I figured out. From this spot, my story completely changed. After I arrived, I began to face the reality of my destination. And it was excitement, joy, new experiences, beautiful moments, even hard and strange, but full of first. I still kept the first empty container of the first bottle of water that I bought in America, the first toothpaste, a, a empty container of shampoo, because for me, they are not ordinary objects. They are a part of my life story, and they have memories of the first times that I was here. And the first scroll, it was the first time that I saw a scroll, and I took a picture of that. And even the first terrible hive due to the planets and weather, which were unfamiliar to me. And the doctor told me maybe it is because of the stress. and painful blisters, which resulted from walking a lot because I didn't know anywhere and I had to walk. I documented everything, and now I have a huge archive of firsts. But the funniest and most interesting first that I have was happened on my first night at the hotel. As I arrived, I told myself, okay, you are in an English speaking country, time to improve your English. So I turned on the TV on the very first night at the hotel, and I started to flipping through the channels, feeling kind of proud, like, yes, I am doing this. So I kept switching channels, hoping to find one that I could at least understand a little bit. And then suddenly I found one. For a second, I thought, oh, wow, look at this. The hotel has free porn channel. And yeah, and I was very surprised. But a few moments later, I realized it was something very different. A totally ridiculous program that just used nudity to attract viewers. And I thought to myself, okay, welcome to America. This is media. And of course, I added this photo to my first because it was my first experience that I had in America. Okay, let's go back to Iran. And in the first few days, I finally received an email from the embassy that it said, we apologize for the inconvenience. Your daughter's visa is issued. Please come and get it. So suddenly all the hardships turned into hope and I could finally breathe again. 2 weeks after I arrived in the US, I flew back 14 hours each way to bring my daughter here with my own hands. After Hannah came to me, everything became calmer and we began to experience more joyful together. We were discovered we were discovering a new world like a baby that has to learn how to walk and talk, learning everything moment by moment. We shared so many amazing experiences together, like screaming the first time, the screaming of joy, the first time when we saw snow. And I remember the first day of her school, they gave us a list of school supplies to buy for her. And when I saw that list, I didn't know most of the items. And I Googled them and just searched the images. And I still don't know why they don't call notebook a notebook. They call it composition book because they said, okay, you have to buy composition book. And I said, okay, this is book. Why it is notebook? It was one of the experiences we had. We had hundreds of memories like this, even the hard ones, like getting lost so many times, facing freezing winters. And when I got COVID, it was Hannah who took care of me. We lived side by side through a screen and shared every moment. And I love one of these pictures. But it is hard, but I like it. It broke my heart when I saw how much whiter my husband's beard had turned since the day we were separated. But among all the experiences we had, the hardest were financial struggles, Hannah's occasional illness, and missing each other. Because of the sanctions and political conditions, the value of Iranian currency kept dropping every day, and life became much harder for us. From the day we arrived in the US until now, the value of Iranian currency had dropped to more than less. So, sorry, to more than half. It was terrible. So, most of the time, the financial problems were truly overwhelming for me. When Hannah got sick, the only thing that could calm her was a video call with her dad. We would place the phone beside her pillow so he could stay with her from across the world, watching over her as she fell asleep beneath his gaze. It is strange that a heartbeat can travel through a screen, that two people can rest simply by listening to each other's breath. But the nights when Hannah cried for her dad, I miss him, I want him right now. There was no comfort for that kind of pain because I was so full of my own longing that I could no longer ease hers. I received calls about losing my uncle, about losing my aunt, and about losing one of my best friends. And you don't even know how to mourn for them. You want to hug someone and cry, but you cannot. My sister got married, and I was at her wedding and danced with her to our favorite song, only virtually. And I miss him every single moment. But beyond all of this, there were private moments between my husband and me. All our intimacy, all our connections became virtual too. Everything private turned into something digital, something that only existed behind the screen. Because of the poor internet in Iran, most of our video calls kept disconnecting, freezing, or disappearing. These interruptions became part of my life, part of the reality of being apart and experiencing intimacy from a distance. I started documenting these intimate moments, turning something that should be touchable into something I could at least hold. This was one of the biggest emotional shifts I experienced after migration. But they have but they have a bigger issue with them, and it is showing them. I grew up in a religious, patriarchal, and traditional society. So, showing yourself, especially as a woman, was considered unacceptable. But I decided to leave those old prejudices behind. Even now, as I show them, I still feel fear. So imagine how much courage it took to show them for the first time. But I did it because they reveal the reality of my living, that I living apart, and it is my life. It is my life in the honest way. And that is how the collection, The Weight of Miles, was created. An artwork made from simple phone screenshots, but containing the most personal and intimate data of a human life. And they together created a rhythm of being here and there at the same time. This collection was the hardest work I've ever made in my life. I tried different ways to present it, but in the end, I chose the simplest one, a way that showed courage even before showing the work itself. In this piece, the viewer was not meant to face something grand or perfect, but something honest and deeply human. And that, for me, was the most important thing. Some of the photographs had my handwriting on them. As I read some of them for you, they were simple sentences about how I was feeling at those moments. I borrowed this way, means writing for some photos. I borrowed this way from family photo albums where we used to write something about each moment on the back of the photos so we could remember that moment forever. Besides the text I wrote for my photos, I started writing letters or heartfelt notes to my husband, the one I live with through his memory every day. I started writing my letters in English because I wanted to adjust to my new life. But I soon realized that I couldn't write my deepest feelings in English. They were getting lost in translation. So I began writing my letters in both languages, English and Farsi, using them together to show the resilience of a life lived between two words. And let me read one of the letters for you. I made the collection of my letters. The title of that is From Here to You. It is Farsi and English letter. جانم، عزیزم، دلم برایت تنگ است. دلم به اندازه فاصله های بینمان تنگ است. My heart aches for the twists of your hair, for kissing your eyelids, for touching your lips. I miss your embrace, the place where only you and I exist, exactly in the middle of your chest, the place I always say it seems to make for me, where I could give myself to it. I miss it. هرگز نمیدانستم دوری و تنهایی چه معنایی دارند تا از تو دور شدم، تا بی تو تنها ترین شدم. چقدر بی تو سخت است، چقدر تلخ است. I miss the sweet smell of your cigarette, the scent of your body when it slid over mine. I miss your arms wrapping around my waist, putting on my dancing dress and dancing for you, and the pleasure of watching your eyes trace the twists and turns of my body. I miss you. I miss you. This picture that you see is the presentation of my letters that I put them under the vitrine in my show. I will continue these two collections that I showed you, the weight of miles, that it is the screen snapshots, and my letters from here to you, until the day my husband joined us and we become a family of 3 again. I believe in this sentence: turn great pain into great work. Through creating my artworks, I have been able to ease my pain and, in a way, heal myself. So let's move to the next part of my story. On February 14, 2024, Valentine's Day, my husband had his visa interview. At that time, Iran and the US were in political tension, but we still believe that America is a country that values family. So we were sure he would get the visa just to visit his family. At 1:05 a.m. US time, I was awake waiting for his call. He called me and said with a shaky voice, "Please forgive me. I tried my best, but they rejected me because of the political tension." That night was like hell for me. The next morning, when I woke Hannah up, she asked, "When will daddy come?" I didn't look at her face. I just said, "He won't." She said, "You are lying." And in that moment, I was shattered. I vanished inside myself. The moment I had no answer for my daughter. That day, I could hear the voice of a man on the phone whose back was broken from this pressure. The day that my daughter pretended to be happy, but no one knew what had happened to her. But what happened to me on that day? I felt hopeless, like I was stuck in a swamp. Every step I took pulled me deeper down. I felt guilty for being here, for this separation, for my daughter, for my husband. Nobody understood. Nobody knew what kind of storm was inside me or how I was surviving those moments. That day, one of my friends asked me, "How are you doing?" And with a smile, I responded, "I am good, thank you." But inside, I was collapsed. I wanted to scream. I was done. I was heartbroken, but I didn't say anything. And that moment, that double life, the outside that looks fine and the inside that's falling apart, became the start of a new work, a work that shows both sides of me, the inner and outer layers that I cannot separate from each other. This is a 10-minute video that I showed you, and I excerpted 1/30 of that. I never planned which medium to use. I simply allowed myself to be free and followed the voice of my heart to find how I could express myself in the best way. That is why each of my collection has a different form of presentation. One is photo, one is leather, one is video installation, and even the way I work now is completely different from my past as a photographer. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, my ideas were born from the hardest parts of my real life experiences. Moments that once transformed into art became a source of healing and peace for me. Let's move on to the final part of my work, which was one of the most challenging experiences I went through during this time. 1 year passed, and my life showed me another challenging moment. I was suspected of having breast cancer. My mammograms didn't look good. The doctor told me to repeat them and do more tests. I remember laying down in a dark and cold room, half naked, under a thin sheet, waiting for the doctor to come in and tell me the result of the last ultrasound. In that moment, a strange thought crossed my mind. I wished I had breast cancer, so I could ask the doctor for a letter and give that letter to Reza, so he could show it to the embassy, and because of that letter, they would finally give him the visa. Yes, I actually wished for that, and even I liked my story that I wished. When the doctor came in, she said, "At this moment, you don't have cancer, but we need to monitor you every 6 months, blah, blah." I didn't hear the rest of her words because my strange hope vanished in a second. How could I help my husband get the visa now? The only thing I had was my body. I wanted to lose it, to give it to him, so I could have him, but I couldn't. I hated myself. His visa was rejected again for the second time. It didn't matter if it was Valentine's Day or November 18. He wouldn't come. This time it was because of political tensions between Iran and Israel. I was not desperate. I was furious. I hated everything and everyone in the world, at myself, at my body, especially because it was healthy. But what did I do with all that anger? I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Every way in front of me was closed. And when you lose hope, you don't need to be underwater to drown. You drown while standing on the ground. And I was drowning. I was drowning. A few weeks later, I looked at myself in the mirror. I cried for myself and for my fate and for my helpless situation, and told myself, I need my body more than anything in the world, with my husband or without. And that is when I started a new work titled My Body Hurts, a collection to show my fragility. These hanging cut bodies don't have any feet to go, any head to dream, and any eyes to see, just two hands to protect themselves, with no freedom, with no hope. And it was me. After showing this piece, I was still in pain, but I was stronger because what matters was finding my strength in the darkest moments. And that meant everything to me. I've lived migration with my flesh and my bones. Migration is not a moment of departure, nor a moment of arrival, nor a feeling of belonging anywhere. Migration is forever a state of being. For me, like millions of others who have crossed borders, whether by choice or by force, I can only say this: the weight of rebuilding a life in front of walls not made of iron or stone, but of fear, distance, and uncertainty is unbearably heavy. It shatters you into 1,000 pieces every day and every day. And today, I stand here not as a victim of borders, but as someone who passed through them, was broken into 1,000 pieces, and still kept going. I found myself. I found the power of love, the meaning of being strong, unstoppable, and standing up after all the hardships. I found all of this form under the ashes of those moments. Thank you for your time and for listening to my story. I want to take this moment to thank everyone who has been part of my journey and helped me take even one step forward. My family, all my friends, all my professors at the University at Albany, especially Daniel Goodwin, my professor that he supported me from Iran to right now. He is here with his family. Thank you, Danny. Lale Koramian, my professor and my best friend, and all my friends, like, sorry, Sarah, that you are here and you are here to support me. Thank you so much. Thank you of CPW, especially Sarah Danziger, to give me this opportunity to share my story. Thank you, Nicole, for all your helps. And in the end, I have to say thank you of my daughter and my husband who have been stood beside me in each moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hoora. Hoora has some books for sale over here. I don't have, Hoora, do you have just like a brief sentence about what the books are?
This is my collection that I presented. Is the name of that is The Echoes of Distance, and I made poetic words, like poetic notes about this in the shape of booklet, and the name of that is The Cause of Distance. I This is a book that I made it, and it has full of grammar and words mistakes, but it is a part of my life. And yeah, I wanted to share this book to the others, yeah, to the audience, that if you would like. Yeah, thank you.